All right, welcome to the very first episode of the Marketing Schematic. My name is Ann Cotter. I am host one of two for this podcast, and with me is co-host Chad Spotty. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Ann. I was going to yell a woohoo there, but I would have interrupted you.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it'd be hard to cut that out.
Welcome to the very first episode. We're very excited.
Yes, a long time in the making, but here we are.
Yes, emphasis on long time in the making.
Yeah,
but
hey, good things. What is it? Good things come to those who wait.
Yes, exactly. So with this being our very first episode, Chad and I thought it would be a good idea to share a little bit about why we decided to create this podcast, why we're doing it, what we hope to get out of it, what we hope listeners will gain. But just to start, I thought it'd be a good idea to just introduce ourselves. So I can go first. I said, my name is Ann Cotter. I am the director of sales and marketing for a marketing agency called Top Floor, which we'll talk about in a little more detail later. And my background is in developing digital marketing campaigns for Top Floor's manufacturing clients, specifically leveraging SEO, PPC, content marketing, all of that good stuff. And then more recently, I transitioned into our internal team, so helping to find ways to deliver quality content and resources to our manufacturing clients and other manufacturing marketers. So that's a little bit about me.
Like podcasts, for instance.
Like
right?
podcasts, yeah. This is where it was born from, yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I am Chad Spotty. So I am one of two owners of Top Floor currently. I've been in the marketing world for, 20 years, which sounds crazy to say. And then the last 11 years spent my time doing digital marketing for manufacturing type clients, OEMs, that sort of thing at Top Floor. And then recently, a couple of years now, actually, it's not even that recent, became owner of Top Floor with my partner, Justin. And so that's kind of my background. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we can just dive right in then. I'll ask you the questions first, Chad. But do you want to talk a little bit about, actually, before we get into the podcast, let's talk a little bit about Top Floor.
Sure.
Do you want to just talk a little bit about what Top Floor does and kind of how manufacturers became one of our primary customer bases?
Yeah, definitely. I think, what Top Floor does, the easy version of that answer is we're a digital marketing agency who focuses primarily on industrial clients in the manufacturing kind of space, B2B mostly. And why we're focused on that, simply, I think the simplest answer is that's where we started. So 20 some years ago when Top Floor was founded, we kind of, those were our first clients. We came out of Thomas Registers of America, which is an old publication that was for manufacturing clients to find partners to work with, that sort of stuff, suppliers. So our first clients came from there, and they were industrial manufacturers, they were OEMs, they were all those types of companies. And that kind of led us to, I guess, our niche, so to speak, in getting better at doing marketing campaigns and that type of work for those types of businesses. So
awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's cool just how long that we've been serving manufacturing clients. You said like 25 years.
Yeah. I think it's 23.
I forget how
exact,
old
but
Top Floor is sometimes, but yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and a lot of the clients that we're still working with today, we're original clients of Top Floors, and we're building 5, 6, 7th versions of their websites, tweaking campaigns based on all of the things that we're obviously going to be talking about in this podcast, the chat GPTs of the world and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, they've been with us a long time, and that's our niche. That's kind of what we focus on. And I think the most important thing is, which I think we'll talk a little bit more about, like why we're doing this podcast or who it's for. But the goal is for us to take all of that marketing stuff that's out there and try to communicate that in a way that makes sense for, manufacturing type clients, because it is different, the way that you go to market, the sales cycle, everything is different. So
yeah, definitely. And I think, we'll talk a little bit more about how it's different and why I think there's a need to have content that it does specifically tailor to marketers in manufacturing. But before we get into all of that, do you want to talk a little bit about why we started this podcast? I mean, you kind of touched on it just now.
Yeah.
What would you say the main reasons were?
Yeah, I mean, we did touch on it a little bit, but I think the overall idea, with you and I kind of
Hmm.
discussing and coming up with this and the brainstorming that led to this podcast was just, I think, two things. The first thing is for us to do what I was touching on before, and that's take all of the, I'll call it noise, but that's not really the best word
Hmm.
for it, but all of the marketing tactics and information and all of the complexity with everything from website design and development down to paid search and content marketing, all that,
Hmm.
and tailor that to an audience that is in the manufacturing space, because
Hmm.
like we touched on, it's different. And
Hmm.
so trying to figure out what best approach works for that type of business. My hope, and I think your hope as well, is that people can listen to this podcast, people that are interested in that, people whose job it is to worry about growing manufacturing type clients and finding that new lead or that new opportunity.
Hmm.
Like they'll be able to learn from this podcast how to use that information to do just that. And
Yeah.
then I think the second part is maybe a little bit more self-serving for the both of us, but that's just to learn. Like, you
Hmm.
know, you and I both talked that most of the information that we get from to stay on top of what's going on in the world of manufacturing, what's going on with supply chain issues, whatever, whatever is the
Hmm.
topic or whatever is the biggest worry, or maybe not worry, but just biggest topic on a digital marketer or someone in a marketing manager role at a manufacturing company. The best way to learn that is to talk to them and to learn about it. And so I think
Yeah.
that is like maybe even a bigger goal to me, is to try to stay
Hmm.
up to date on what's going on in that world, because we work with a lot of manufacturing clients, but we're not, I guess, we don't worry about it as much as our clients worry about it. Maybe is not the best way to say it, but
Yeah, yeah, I totally echo that. I feel like one of the reasons, at least for me, the biggest reason is probably just to learn and, like you said, stay on top of trends. Because, if we're not immersing ourselves in the world of manufacturing, how can we, best serve those types of customers? So
right,
I agree with
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And I mean, you can read all the articles you want, and obviously there's no shortage of content being digested by our team or you
Hmm.
and I, in the world of manufacturing and marketing and all that sort of stuff. But to really understand the complexities, the challenges, even the positive things that, our types of clients or the companies that we work with and what's going on there, I mean, there's no better way than having a conversation with that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one other thing that I would just add to why we are doing a podcast is we have other forms of content out there. We have blogs, we have workshops and webinars that we do, and um, in-person events even. But I think a podcast is just a good way to, you know, tap into people's free time when it's just kind of leisure, or you're driving, or you just want to hear, in a more casual setting, what people are talking about, or what trends are going on, or what challenges other manufacturers are facing that you might relate to, or learn from kind of how they're tackling it. It's kind of
A
a nice
hundred
setting.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree. And I think it's easy. Hopefully, obviously this is the first one, but hopefully it's easily digestible. It's
Yeah.
something that you can maybe put on and listen to when you're walking the dog. I know that's when I listen
Hmm.
to most of my podcasts.
Hmm.
And maybe you gain something from it.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest thing is we we're in this every day, so there's
Hmm.
things, and we've done this for quite a long time. So there's things that you can't just read about, they just kind of
Right.
come up or happen, and it's based on experience more than anything else.
Yeah, especially these bigger and kind of scarier topics like AI. It's like it's almost nice to hear someone like verbalize it versus trying to digest it all in something that's written down. At least for me, I prefer to listen to that kind of topic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then let it blow your mind a little bit, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what the heck is happening?
Or at least hear other real people say like, "Yeah, this is confusing."
Yeah,
you,
this
you
I
feel you feel a little less alone.
right, exactly. You're like,
Yeah.
this is scary, this is just as
Hmm.
scary to you as it is to me. Okay,
Hmm.
I get it.
Yep,
Yeah.
totally.
I think the other
Um,
thing is, do you
mhm.
want to touch on the name and where that came up
Oh,
with?
yeah, let's talk about it. Do you wanna take
Sure.
a stab at it?
Sure, I can
Okay,
start and then you can
okay.
fill in the gaps. But I think the idea behind the marketing schematic and kind of where that comes from mostly is so a schematic, as probably most listeners will know, is, it's a visual representation of basically complex information, kind of illustrates components, connections, sometimes processes, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I think, overall, those are things that are very valuable in manufacturing to, communicate complex things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our goal here is to kind of play on our expertise in the manufacturing space, but then also the fact that we're trying to take, like I said before, the noise, I don't have a better word for
Mm-hmm.
it, but take all of the complexity that's out there in the world of marketing, specifically digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and try to, I don't know, like hone that in for, the manufacturing space or the industrial
Yeah.
space, and hopefully, do some of the curating for the people that are
Mm-hmm.
listening to the podcast. So
Yeah. Kind of create like a blueprint almost. And I think,
yeah,
I don't know if you had just mentioned this. If you did, I apologize. But I think it's kind of cool too that like schema and schematic also has like a place in the marketing and digital marketing world too.
yeah.
So there's kind of just like bridges the two ideas together a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of schema, going to get too far into the weeds in the first episode about schema
Yeah.
markup and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously
Yep.
that, just the overall
Mm-hmm.
idea of a schematic, I think of like a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put together a winning strategy or a plan,
Mm-hmm.
a digital marketing strategy to generate, revenue for our clients. I mean, that's
Yeah.
basically it. So
Awesome. Cool.
yeah. It seems
Um,
really easy when we phrase it that way. Like, why
when you
didn't we land
say
on
it,
that? Yeah.
it
It should have taken
sounds,
us like 2 minutes to come up with this,
yeah,
but
exactly. Easier said than done.
more went into it than that. Yeah.
Yes. Um, what would you say, or who would you say this podcast is for? Like what types of listeners?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's better to be more or have a niche, right? When you're going after
Hmm.
something. But I think honestly, like the audience is probably more broad. And I would just say
Hmm.
any and everyone that's looking to stay current on marketing trends, more
Hmm.
specifically marketing trends and how they affect, manufacturing and industrial type businesses. And then,
Hmm.
also just staying on top of trends within the, manufacturing and industrial space. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of marketing, but also a lot about just what's going on,
Hmm.
for different companies that are in, manufacturing.
Yeah, totally. I think that really just business development overall for manufacturers. So obviously
Right.
marketing plays a big part in that. And I think obviously because we come from a marketing background, we'll spend a lot of time talking about marketing initiatives. But I think when it comes to, like topics we'll cover and who we plan and hope to have on this podcast, I mean, we might be talking to salespeople, we might be talking to, of course, yes, other marketers, but other executives and getting kind of a sense of everyone's role in business development and growth in manufacturing companies. So I think
Yeah,
we'll cover a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anyone who like is at all worried about trying to grow a
Yes.
manufacturing company, I think is good.
Yes. Yep. Totally. I kind of touched on it, but in your words, like what types of topics do you think we'll cover? Do you hope we cover?
Oh man, the
It's a
laundry
long list,
list.
probably.
Yeah.
Or I guess what can people? Maybe the better question is what can people expect like us to talk about?
Yeah, I think what they can expect, or at least what I think people will expect is,
Hmm.
or can expect is, uh, we'll go into each episode, I think, with a general topic, but really it's just
Hmm.
going to be a general topic, and then we'll kind of let our guests guide us down a path,
Hmm.
that they want to talk about or get into, and so we can be flexible and have the freedom to kind of dive into different things that come up because the world of manufacturing and marketing both are ever changing. So there's a constant stream of new information, new things,
Hmm.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think, the other topics are just, that'll be kind of sprinkled in. The marketing stuff is just things that we learn on a day-to-day basis. I
Hmm.
mean, I just had a conversation with a client yesterday regarding something on a website project, and it was like, this isn't new. This came, this comes up regularly, and here's my experience with it. And the only reason I know this, it's not
Hmm.
from Chat GPT, it's not from some
Right.
blog or some article. It's because I went through this already with someone else, and this is the experience, and this is what they did, and here's how they fixed it, or here's the the end result, kind of a thing. So a little
Yeah.
bit of that, and that's stuff that you can't just like sit down and like,
Right.
Ann, here's the information that I have from working
Right.
at Top Floor for 11 years. It just kind of gets triggered by different conversations.
Yeah, I think that each conversation, we might not know at the very beginning what the outcome will be or what we're going to learn from it, but
Right.
I think when you have obviously two marketers and then whoever we're talking to, whether it's someone in-house in a manufacturing company or someone on the Top Floor team with different specialties, like something's bound to kind of come from that conversation, new ideas. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to from this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And I guarantee we're going to learn a lot of new information from the people that we're going
Mm-hmm.
to have on here, which is going to be
Yeah.
exciting.
And maybe even come up with some cool like marketing plans. You never know
Hey,
what could come out of
let's do
this.
it.
Yeah.
Sky's the
Um,
limit. Love it.
it is. Yeah, you never know. I guess we kind of talked about this too. What we hope to learn from the podcast, I guess to recap a little bit. Obviously staying on top of manufacturing industry trends, I think is really important. I think that's a big part of what I'm hoping to get out of this. And
Yeah.
then also it's nice too, again, kind of from a selfish perspective, is just talking with the rest of the Top Floor team members. We have specialists in so many different areas, whether it's website design and development, SEO, PPC, all of that stuff. And I think just creating another avenue for us to get together and like talk about what's new and what's going on in digital and learn from each other.
Yeah.
That's something I'm really excited about too, or what I
Yeah.
hope to learn. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Being able to pick the brains of, some of the people that work at Top Floor and that we don't,
Mm-hmm.
get to communicate with, in that way, at least every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited about that. I've already got just my mind has been spinning since we've been talking about starting this up about who we can talk to and what we can talk about. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool. Well, that kind of summarizes everything about this podcast. Is there anything else you would add to what we discussed, or?
No, I guess maybe like as a wrap up or my closing statement, I would say there's no shortage of podcasts out there in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and maybe some people might be looking at this as like, oh, another podcast, or we're late to the game on a podcast, or whatever you want to say. And I'll say to you that it's not about who's first, but it's about the
Mm-hmm.
content of it, and
Yeah.
I'm very excited, and I think that we will have a lot of really good information to share. And so I
Mm-hmm.
hope that people will give it a chance and listen, and hopefully they feel the same way.
Yeah. I mean, with that, we can kind of give a little bit of a preview into some of the episodes to come. we've
Yeah. What do we
got
got?
we've got GA4, what's new in GA4 with Andrea Yank. That's a Top Floor, our recurring team lead over here.
Nice.
And we have interview with Isamar Vera Fuentes, and she is one of our designers and developers in a sense at Top Floor as well,
Yeah.
talking about,
She's amazing.
yes,
That will be
jack of
great
all
as well.
trades. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And she'll be talking about user journey mapping and the role that plays in your website design and development. We'll be talking about AI, I think, in a couple of episodes coming up, and also
That
trade show
one,
strategies.
that
Yeah.
one's going to get a little weird. I can already tell. So we'll
Oh, yeah. I think there'll be
schedule a couple
several.
hours for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be probably a recurring topic, I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one, I'm sure. All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Very
that's,
cool.
I think, all we have. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we hope that you will stick around to listen to more of our episodes.
Yep.
Thanks.
It's only going to get better from here.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yep. All right.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks, Ian. Bye.